Warning: the following podcast has been rated listener R due to strong language, violent situations, drug references, sexual innuendos, and who knows what else. Listener discretion is advised. With that being said, hang on, sugar tits, because we're about to get wobbled.
What's going on, guys? It's Clayton Wobble Elliott back again with another episode of the Let's Get Wobble podcast. This is a real special episode for me. I've got another new guest on with me. This is somebody that I've talked about doing a big episode with. We've talked about collabing before. I'd really like to pick this guy's brain on a lot of things that he's accomplished over the years, but this weekend especially because it's your 1 year anniversary of being open in the business, right?
Yes, sir.
So without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Austin Griffin. He's the owner of Good Ole Boys Barbershop here in downtown Caldwell, correct?
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me, dude. It's like we talked about the podcast stuff before, and it's cool. It's something that I'm interested in. I thank you for your time, man.
Not a problem at all. I really appreciate you sitting down with me. I think we're going to have a great episode. There's all kinds of topics we can talk about and everything going on right now. So I don't think it's going to be a dry conversation at all.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and get started. So go ahead and tell my listeners who you are as a person. Do you have any siblings, family members, anything like that? And just kind of give everybody a background as who you are and how you and I had met.
Yeah, man. So I'm born and raised here. I've been in Caldwell my whole life. I love it. I love this community. I wouldn't change it for anything, man. It's a special place to be.
So do you have any family members? Any old lady at the house? Do you have any kids?
I have a fiance, Carrie Lee. Shout out to her. 2 kids. My son's 6. My daughter's 2. They're my everything. It's kids is a beautiful thing, man. It changed me. It changed my priorities in life. And of course, yeah, I have an extensive family. They're all still around here as well. I mean, I got a couple of cousins that moved away, but we grew up really, really tight knit. I don't know a lot of my dad's side, but my mom's side, they're all still here.
I've told a lot of people this too. I would eventually like to have kids, but I always feel like I'm not ready. Like now's not the time. I don't really have the money saved up. But everybody that I've ever talked to said you're never going to be 100% ready to have kids. It's one of those things you just jump into and fucking start swimming.
Yeah.
Like, is that the same for you? Like, or were you 100% set and ready when you had kids?
I definitely wasn't set and ready. Just kind of it snuck up on us. I remember coming home and my old lady was acting real weird, and she started crying, and then she told me, and I was like, just taken back, like, damn, dude. But it's easy to overthink it. It's easy to overthink it, man. But when it's put on you, it's just your purpose. Like, there is no, of course you're nervous and you don't know what the future is going to hold, but you fucking make it happen, man. I mean, it's such a powerful lesson be placed upon you, like adversity.
Right.
Your back's on the wall, but you're gonna make it work. They're your kids. You just make it work.
Right.
It's cool.
So we'll start kind of like I do a lot of motorcycle backgrounds and stuff, and I know you have like a motorcycle interest also. So one of the questions I put in our questionnaire was, what sparks your interest in motorcycles? And I know you said that you've also got some family that are interested and have motorcycles and in different clubs. So what do you have an interest in motorcycles? I'm assuming you do. And what sparked that interest for you?
Yeah, man. I mean, it started from very, very early on. My dad was always had motorcycles. I mean, I don't even know how many bikes he would have had. 30, maybe 30 bikes throughout the course of his life. I remember waking up Saturday morning in Caldwell and our kitchen being full of these long-haired dudes with cuts on. And there's this tattoo artist who would come down from Bolton named John Gunn, and our living room, our kitchen will be full of people and John Gunn shooting tattoos in our little,
that's all just right in your kitchen in the house,
50, 60 foot trailer, Yeah. So, certainly ingrained in me my whole life. So my uncle Clifford, he was the president of Breed MC out of Cleveland, probably most notoriously known for the Polish Women's Hall massacre. It was a riff with the Hells Angels. My uncle Gary, he was the secretary of Dirt and Grime MC, which is a Northern Ohio-based 1% club. I'm sorry. Yeah, Dirt and Grime. And then my dad was the secretary of a much smaller scale 1% club, Evil Poison, and they were based out of New York with a chapter in Ohio. So, the older I got, the more I was like, oh, that's badass, that's badass. And like all my dad's friend rode motorcycles. So they'd be outside in the garage. I mean, we had this old building with a dirt floor. They'd be out there working on one of their bikes or something. So it was cool, dude. I mean, it was such a profound thing for me growing up. I just thought it was cool as shit, man.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it was badass.
And it's cool how other people's backgrounds are different. Like you've got a super extensive background with your family. My family, my dad owned a motorcycle, but I never knew anybody in a motorcycle club. It's just one of those things that I saw when I started riding, and I was like, I'd like to be a part of something. So everybody's background's different. I think it's cool stories to share of how people learned about really what a motorcycle is and what it does for somebody.
Hell yeah, dude.
And it's just that freedom that you get. It's almost, it's hard to even explain for me anyways.
Yeah. It's, I just became so enamored with the culture, I think. And, I think that's the one thing that people that maybe, there's a lot of people that probably look sideways at people who are part of clubs and, think they're yuppies or, think they're something that they're not. I think it's, especially with my dad, kind of younger teens grew up. He was, what I want to say, damaged juice, so to speak, got in a lot of trouble and kind of a society outcast. He was a high school dropout. I think it's a place for the loner. It's a place for, some of society's outcasts. It's a place for people who are seeking brotherhood, that aspire, that want more, they want connectedness with fellow man. And I think that's a lot of what you're seeing, but I think people from the outside looking in, they sometimes they're judged. Right. Even the 1% clubs, obviously I feel like they get a lot of criticism, and sometimes, it's understood.
Right.
I get it, but
I don't think all 1% clubs should be. It's the same way people from the outside will look at any motorcycle club as a 1% club.
Yes.
And even if you label yourself as a 1% club, I don't always think that you're a fucking shitbag and go
right.
You're out to do everything. You're getting a bad rep from other people who have done stupid shit before.
100%, man. And they, all clubs are, affiliated with their communities. They all do great community work.
Right.
I mean, I think if they were gone, people would realize how much they truly give.
Right. Just the impact it would put on a community.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
So you talked about a brotherhood, and that kind of brings what my answer was going to be to this next question. You also worked public safety before starting your own business here. So my question was going to be, how did you get into public safety beforehand? Obviously not being able to talk so much is where we worked that together, but just what was your idea or your thinking of starting where we used to work at, or you used to work at?
So, early on, I always worked. I always had a job, but I always struggled to keep employment. I don't think I had a job for over a year. And so I was just trying to think of different avenues. I worked a lot of construction, oil and gas type shit. And I was just trying to find a different outlet maybe. So my dad got sick. He was dying of cancer. I seen the job open on the internet. And I had some friends that worked there. And, I just asked him if he thought that I could do that. Is that all right? And, he gave me his blessing. And, so I just applied for the job. I didn't really have any expectations, so to speak. I enjoyed my time there for the most bit. It's still the longest tenured thing that I had done.
Right.
I was there for 7 years. I don't think anything consciously drove me to that. Just a means of income. It's for Noble County, for Caldwell, it's probably the best paying job in town.
Really, without having to travel and go too far, it's one of the best paying jobs you're going to find around here.
And I've had a lot of shit jobs, dude.
Right.
A lot of shit jobs, fucking shoveling steel shot briquette in this dusty ass pole barn at 3 a.m. People I worked with were absolute assholes. So I've had a lot of shit jobs. So once I got there, got into place, there's a lot of good people up there, man.
Right. That's awesome. So, and I believe the same thing. I started, my dad worked at that place before I did. And I was looking kind of the same way. I needed something more. I was driving a trash truck and I just thought this just isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life. I got to find something to where I can make ends meet, especially for the way the economy was going. Try to make a little extra money, set something aside. And it's hard to find anything around here unless you go something like public safety or
about the easiest job you'll ever have.
That's the truth. Really. I don't know anybody up there that is overworked. They're bitches that they're overworked. At least they might bullshit about it, but
yeah.
But,
somebody always told me the hardest part was showing up.
That's just it. And the hardest part's clocking in, and that. But what made you want to get away from the public safety aspect? And did you have a plan when you left, or is it just something you were like, "Fuck this, I can't take it anymore, I'm done"?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was a culmination of things, man. Of course, I worked with a lot of good people, but there was also some people that were not so good,
toxic to be around,
very toxic, very negative. And this was not, that was not me. Like I said, prior to that, longest job tenure, 1 year at any given spot. And almost always, if it wasn't for stepping away and going to a different job for higher wages, it was because of the people that I was working around, something I always kind of sought to dictate, within my space is the people that I'm
surrounding yourself with good people. Absolutely. You said it right before I said it. It was great.
Yeah, man. So I just started brainstorming ideas. I remember I was watching YouTube videos one day, and it was like haircutting tutorials, and because I was just thinking about, maybe how I wanted to get my hair cut. I don't remember, but in the video, it was so satisfying. And I've always been into like art and shit, dude. Like pretty good artist. I'm no fucking Picasso, but always interested. And I thought, man, that's kind of a cool trade. The more I thought about it, and I just started scheming a plan, man. Schemed a plan. They introduced the body cams at the place I was working. And once they did that, I was like, man, I'm fucking out. Like, I can't do that. One of the joys of that job was rooting on people. And I felt like that was going to take that away. So I was like, I'm fucking out, man.
Right. It's not shit that needs to be recorded. Nobody wants to know what the fuck we do. Everybody just wants to know the job's getting done.
Right.
So the reason that shit all come about was a whole different story. We could probably spend a whole podcast talking about it. But regardless, it made you obviously want to change something within you and start something different. So the next thing I want to really dive into, and I know just back and forth, I even thought about this. I was like, it's going to be a great question, and I'm sure people want to know this. So you started your own business. Bitchness. Started this bitch with another business literally right around the corner.
Yeah.
With another shop right around the corner. So the question I want to ask is, what adversity did you face when you started the entire business process? And was it something that crossed your mind? Like, I'm going to have to fight for this.
Yeah.
Did you know this place was going to be open, I guess? And did you know that this is where you were going to set up shop? Because like I said, your competition is literally right around the corner.
Right. Man, that is a good question. I did not know that I would be right here. I knew I was going to cut hair no place other than Caldwell. Like, I was going to come to Caldwell because I thought that there was demand for it. In the same fashion that I stepped away from the place that I was at, with the mentality of like, I'm going to bet on my fucking self, man, is the same exact mentality as like when I open the door and that light lights up, like it's me. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with anybody else. It has everything to do with me.
Right.
Like, I can dictate my quality. I can dictate my time. I can dictate the culture here. And I thought, being able to do those things, it would render me successful. And I think, again, we're only a year in, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I just try to do the right things, man. I try to take my time, put a quality product out. I'm betting on my fucking self. I mean, That's the big thing,
Right.
is being able to do that and be able to be in the position to do that. Yeah, man, it's all on me. It's all on me. It's been good so far.
I'm glad that you've stuck it out. I know, I mean, I don't know anything much about the business side, but I feel like a lot of people say probably your first year is the hardest year of business, is trying to keep everything going. You work by yourself. You don't have anybody that works for you. You're your own guy. And like I said, I feel like that definitely helps your aspect of what you were wanting to get away from. Was at the place we had before, you've got 8, 9 different fucking supervisors telling you a different thing every second. And now it's just you. It's your shit. It's all yours. You can dictate whatever you want. And I feel like that's a huge success, not only for you, but just for even this area in Caldwell. And I think that you bringing this here, I in my eyes, I would say would help better the community. Even like I said, even though your competition's around the corner, I told you when I first come in, I went to the other place beforehand. I think it was before you'd even got up and running, and I told the person what I wanted done with my beard. I don't have any hair. I haven't had hair for years, but I do take pride in my beard and what little bit of it there is. But I kind of told her what I wanted. I kind of spill that now, but I told her what I wanted. She cut it. She's like, I still don't think it looks as good as it could be, and tried to talk me into something else. I was like, you know what? It's only hair. I'm sure she knows what she's talking about. I'll just let her go with what she thinks was going to work. And when I walked out, of course you're going to tell somebody like, yeah, I'm pleased with it when you're there, because you don't want to hurt. I wouldn't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but when I left her place, I was like, this fucking sucks, and I've got to deal with this now. Like I'm just going to shave it all off and start over. But when I leave here, and I've been here a few times now, just getting my beard trimmed, but when I leave here, it does something for me. A clean cut beard and everything, it helps. I don't have much of a fucking any good looks really about myself, but I take pride in my beard.
Oh, yeah.
And when it fucking looks good, it makes you feel better about yourself.
Absolutely, dude.
And leaving this place is just like, it's a confidence boost for me when I walk out the door immediately. But like I said, I think it's helped the community of Caldwell. I'm glad that it's helped you and your success. And just once again, I think it's a great thing that you're doing. And I hope that it continues to go on. Like I said, you're 1 year in business. You're doing a giveaway also for your 1 year.
Yeah.
You want to tell everybody kind of a little bit about what you're giving away? Is it today you're doing the drawing?
No, today is not the drawing.
Okay.
December 9th is the drawing.
Okay. So people still have time to get in.
Yeah. Today's the 9th, right? Yeah. So we got a month.
Yeah.
We got a month exactly. Yeah, man. I wanted to do something to kind of celebrate being in business for a year. And I wanted to do something that was kind of tailor-made to my demographic, or the demographic that I seek.
Sure.
So we're going to give away a cigar humidor, a pack of cigars, a bottle of whiskey, some Good Ole Boys flasks, or a flask, and then this mug you gave me, which is dope. I feel like I should just set it on my shelf, brother.
It's a Tobacco Special mug. Tobacco Special sells coffee-infused cigars. I really love their product, but I'm not much of a coffee drinker. But even though I'm not a coffee drinker, those coffee cigars are just amazing. So I bought a 2-pack of cigars, and it came with the mug. And I had the mug just kind of sitting at the house on the shelf with some other cigar memorabilia and shit like that. And I knew you had your giveaway going on, and I was like, I'm never going to use this coffee mug. And hopefully somebody that would come in and hopefully win the drawing would be able to use it and get some use out of it. Or maybe they want to display it with their shit. But I just thought, you know what?
I love it.
My appreciation to you getting on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like I'll bring something I can throw in there too.
So. Hell yeah, dude. No, I love it. It fits the vibe for sure. Maybe throw some of those Wellers in there with maybe a little bit of Bailey's, a little bit of coffee, and you'll have a good morning for sure.
It will be.
No, I dig it. But yeah, man. So I put this together, tailor made, like what I believe tailor made for my target demographic. A man's man, the gentleman, the whiskey drinker, the cigar smoker. It's the gentleman,
right?
It's the gentleman cup.
And we're playing the part today. We're smoking cigars in the shop.
Hell yeah.
In the shop with a cigar and a beer. It's a good time. But once again, I appreciate you, and we'll get into more shit with it. But to piggyback on the question before, were you worried about your competition when you started right here so close? And how has your business been even with the competition around?
No, not really, man. Just because, part of when I left my previous job was timing. I specifically left when I left because of timing. My finances were in line. I knew by the time I was finished with school, some doors would open in terms of other barbers leaving. Of course, my competition took over a previous shop. A lot of people asked me when I was coming if I was going to take over Reed's old spot, which is a barber that was in Caldwell for probably 50 years. Um, I knew I didn't want to go into an existing barbershop because I wanted to create something unique. You know what I mean?
Right.
And as we sit here, I'm still working on that uniqueness, but it what I feel like I have created something that is different. The
Absolutely.
service that I provide, the atmosphere. So I wasn't super worried. Honestly, the other two barbers in Caldwell now at this point are not. I wouldn't even consider them full time. Whereas I'm in here 40 plus hours a week, man.
Right.
So
I know
I'm
trying to
fucking
book an
grinding.
appointment with you and it's not a bad thing, but it's difficult to get an appointment booked sometimes.
What's bad if you're trying to get your hair cut, but it's good for me for sure.
Right. Absolutely. And I don't want you to diss on your competition, obviously, because that's obviously it's bad for business sometimes. But I'm just glad that for you that it's worked out. And it's like you said, it's the atmosphere here. I come here for the atmosphere. I come here for the conversation. I come here for a good cut. This is a different environment. It's hard to explain. Even.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
So a little bit back to more of a personal side of who you are and everything. Is there anything that grinds your gears, or anything that you have personal pet peeves, or something that just fucking tears you up about society today?
Boy, I don't know how much this will get edited out. No, pet peeves, negative people, dude. I fucking hate negative people. I mean, I don't want to say I hate negative people. I don't know that I hate anything, but negative people, I just try not to be around them. Kind of drag down the mood, so to speak.
I feel like you want to surround yourself with like-minded people. Why
absolutely.
You don't surround yourself with people that have no interest in your well-being. Or a good friend of mine told me, like, they were going through this process in their life. They were like, I'm cutting everybody out that has no purpose in my life now. There's no need to hold on to the people who are not going to better me.
Yeah.
Even though they might be a good friend of yours you haven't talked to in years, but what's the point in keeping them in your life if they don't have a purpose? You know what I mean?
I've always said this, man. Friends are people that you benefit from. And that's a two-way street. You have to benefit off of each other, but
right.
There's got to be some beneficial thing that exists in that relationship. If not, then I mean, they're probably soaking you dry. Or
really,
that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I guess one thing that I've just learned here recently, if I had to choose a pet peeve, I was talking to you about it before we even started the podcast, but especially with everything going on with the election, it's finally over and everything, I believe, worked out the way that it should. I went in and I voted. I told myself I was going to vote early, but I was like, at the same time, I have different feelings about voting early because I don't know. It feels like you're giving away your cards too early. Like, I'm going to play my cards when it's right for me to play my cards.
Sure.
But I went in Tuesday. I voted. I did my due diligence, and I think everything turned out the way that I wanted it to, I believe. But another thing we were talking about too, my CCW expired. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't give that information away. Keep that under your hat that you have a CCW. But the way I look at it is, I'm going to tell you I have a CCW. What you do with that information is up to you. If you respect me about it, then great. If you don't, then I'm probably going to be your first target. I carry a 43X every day. I carry an extra mag in my pocket. I tell people that because if you're an ally of mine, you need an extra mag, there's one in my pocket. If I'm carrying, there's an extra mag in my pocket. If you're the guy that shot me, you're going to need to pick up that extra mag because there's a motherfucker coming after you. You know what I mean? So you might need that extra mag because my dudes are coming.
Ready for whatever.
I just, and I don't care who knows it, but at the same time, my shit was getting ready to expire. And I know Ohio's not, you don't have to have your concealed carry anymore, but at the same time, for as much as I travel outside the state, I'd rather have it and be at that peace of mind where I can go where I want to go and still feel safe in my area and protect the people that I care about.
But, like the great George Washington said, fuck around and find out. I think that was George Washington.
Right. But I went to renew my CCW and it was $53 to renew that little plastic card I carry in my wallet. And you and I were talking about, it's just the government's way of sticking their hands in your fucking pockets again, I've took my class, I've passed it, but you want to renew your card for another 4 years, you're going to have to fork over some money. So to be a law-abiding citizen costs us money.
I love taxing that ass, dude. Govern me harder, daddy.
Right. I'll take a cigar break. My shit went out. Not doing good.
Got some runners outside.
I saw that. You were talking about a 5K that's going on. And
yeah, man.
Right here in Caldwell.
James Rayer, 5K. He was a Navy diver. Tragically lost his life in a diving accident. He was training for the SEALs, and I believe he had some. I don't want to misspeak. I'm not, by no means am I disrespecting his name. Obviously, wonderful human being. Thank you for your service, James. I think he had a health condition that didn't allow him to go through to the SEALs training. So instead, he went Navy diving. Badass motherfucker, rest his soul. Yeah, man, well known in the community. I know a lot of guys that know him growing up. Yeah, this is just, I think this is year 2 or 3. And it looks like it's building every year. It's cool. It's special.
Yeah, I was coming down and I saw, like I said, there was traffic blocked off, and I didn't even know anything about it until I pulled up here to the square. Saw they had traffic all blocked off. The sheriff's office got their Humvee sitting outside. I mean, they're just doing all this stuff, and I didn't even know what it was for until you and I started talking about it. Caldwell's such a tight-knit community, and that's a good thing and a bad thing, I guess you could say, because it's one of those things where everybody's in your fucking business, too.
Yes.
I mean, it is definitely tight-knit, but everybody knows when you fucking sneeze or what you wipe your ass with.
I think about that a lot, dude. Like, growing up, I always thought that I would want to move to the city, but the older that I got, the more I found a lot of peace living here. And part of it is what you said, like everybody knowing your business, which is not a good thing, but it's also sometimes not a bad thing. I feel like the dynamic that takes place there, and I was talking to a client about this the other day, is, I don't know, it might have been you, that it makes you have to have some integrity from a standpoint of how you carry yourself out in public and shit like that, yeah, you got to be a good person.
And that all circles back to your business too. People know when they come here what they're getting. People know who they're dealing with, and it's like I said, that's the reason I keep coming back and the reason I wanted to do this, because I feel like you're a great guy. You put out a great product, and people should know about this place. If you don't already know, we'll get into it at the end of the podcast to how you can find this guy, how you can book appointments. I strongly suggest that you do, because I'm telling you, this is one of the greatest atmospheres I've ever come to have my beard professionally cut and taken care of. And even like you said too, I know you and I had talked about it, at the place you and I both work, you can go and get a haircut or a beard cut for $2. That's the most they'll let you pay for a cut there.
Oh, yeah.
But instead, a lot of people that we work with still choose to come down here.
Yeah, and which I'm appreciative of too. Yeah, man. I mean, it's like competing against the fucking Chinese's slave wages, Cats up there cutting hair for fucking $3. So it's like, but yeah, I'm grateful for the people that still come down and choose to support me, man. It keeps my kids fed, man. It keeps my kids fed. It's good though. I'm surprised actually about how many people actually come down here and support me, man. Yeah, it's good. I don't know if I would do it. I mean, fucking $2-3 haircuts, that's hard to beat.
But I think, like I said, it's part of the atmosphere. It's part of what you get when you walk in the door. And I think it's second to none. You're never going to find, in my opinion, anything like this.
Thank you. Yeah, man. You got to give a fuck. You know what I mean? You got to give a fuck, then.
Because if you didn't, it wouldn't last. You'd be out of business already. You'd be doing something else, and it's obviously working for you.
Yeah. You cut me a great promo there, dude. That's what's up.
So what we're going to do, I'm going to, once we're done with all this, we're going to put something together to where you'll put out your own promo, where to find you, where to book it at. And every episode from here on out, you're going to be a sponsor on the podcast. Dope. So every episode that I air will be like a 20-second clip. It'll be your ad read, and then it'll continue on with the podcast. I want you to be able to get business from this. If it helps you, so be it. Because I just do this for the goodness of my heart.
Yeah, man.
Just to have a laugh and smoke a cigar.
I love it.
So if it helps you in any way possible, that's what we're going to do.
I love it, dude. Thank you. That's awesome. I got to piss.
Go ahead. Take a break.
All right.
You can take your mic off so that way people don't hear you piss. I mean, unless you want.
I mean,
I think I'm in there with you.
I think it's kind of hot. Are you tired of going to great clips and them fucking your shit up?
Are you tired of going home and feeling like you ain't even worth getting laid? Come on down to Good Ole Boys Barbershop and get you a fresh cut.
Good Ole Boys Barbershop, 309 North Street, Caldwell, Ohio, 740-509-2669.
Find him on Facebook, book you an appointment, and get your shit fixed. Walk in the door feeling like shit. You're going to walk out the door feeling like $1,000,000. Coming from Wobble himself, this place is the place to fucking be. If you're in Noble County, if you're in Guernsey County, if you're in Monroe County, Ohio, it's worth the fucking drive. Get your ass down, book you an appointment, sit in this chair, and let this man cut you up right. That's Good Ole Boys Barbershop, downtown Caldwell, just off the square. So the next question, the next topic I kind of want to move to, what is one piece of advice that you would have given your 18-year-old self if you could have, knowing what you do now? I ask a lot of people this, and it's fun to pick people's brains because everybody, I'm sure there's regrets that some people have. I try to live my life to where I don't have any regrets. What happened, happened, but I'm going to learn from that and move on. And I don't necessarily regret it, but a lot of people also have advice that they were like, man, I wish I'd have known this when I was growing up. But when I graduated high school, I wish I would have known this. So is there a piece of advice you think you would have given yourself at a younger age to kind of help steer you in a good direction or kind of point you in which way you're going now?
Yeah, man. When I was fucking 18 years old, I was a total fucking degenerate, dude. I mean, I could probably still be in prison. I mean, I was a total fucking degenerate. I was just off the fucking rails. I quit school when I was a junior, so dropped out of high school. Dealing drugs, prescription pain pills, weed, all that shit, man. So, and I knew better. You know what I mean? I was taught better than that. I was raised with better values than that. But I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, I thought that shit was cool. I don't know. So I think looking back, I probably would have told myself to listen to my parents more, honestly. Listen to my mom and dad and what they said. I think I was just too stubborn and just kind of self-absorbed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just so self-absorbed, like I had it figured out. And that would definitely be the advice that I would, looking back.
And it's cool to see the success story now. Like you talk about where you were before and to look and see where you are now. I would have never guessed that about you as a younger person and growing up in life, but to see where you're at and your success at where you're at now, like just that whole 180 of this was my lifestyle before and here's where I'm at now. Like it's hard to, a lot of people say don't judge a book by its cover. You knew me back when I was making mistakes and doing dumb shit, but here's where I'm at now. I'm trying to do something to help the community out.
It's interesting because like some people know me, like they know me. And like those people, and some of these people are not successful at all, and some are very successful. And they tell me that they're proud of me, which I wish they knew how much I took that to heart, because those people, I know what they mean when they say that. You know what I mean? They see that flip. They see where I was, like just being a total piece of shit till now. I mean, always knowing that I was a good kid, but seeing the changes that I've made. But yeah.
Do you want to talk politics at all? Do you want to kind of get into what's going on? And because these next 4 years, I think is going to be one hell of a ride. And it's funny because you see this shit on Facebook, and I think social media is good and bad, and it has its own ways. But as soon as the election was over, you'd see people who were, I'm glad everything happened the way it did, which is how I feel. I feel like everything happens for a reason. I think that the results came out the way that they came out for a reason.
Yeah.
And there's some people that are like, oh, I'm moving out of the country. This is just horrible. Everything's going to shit. And there's other people that have their own opinion. But I personally believe within these next 4 years, I hope to see a lot of change. I hope to see a lot of change for the good. I hope that the common person like you and I can go out and buy a cart full of groceries and not fucking have to take out a loan to do so.
No shit. No shit.
Well, what do you think that the next 4 years are going to look like and how things might change? Do you think they're going to better you, do worse for you? How do you think, what's kind of your opinion on how everything fell? We can even start on a local level if you want. Our sheriff locally, Jason Mackey, he's never probably heard of the podcast. If he has, great for him. That man got reelected. I think the world of him. He cracks down on the drugs super hard here in Noble County, which I appreciate. I hope that whenever I do have kids and stuff like that, I don't want them around the drug scene. And I'd like to see people held accountable for their actions. And that's what that man does. Yeah. So I'm super glad he got elected.
He got reelected.
Yeah.
Actually, he ran unopposed. Gary Sailing ran unopposed.
It was funny talking about Jason. He's out here cheering on the racers, the guys walking and running through the 5K.
Oh yeah,
The guy's such a community guy. He's great with the public. I didn't grow up with his daughter. I grew up with his son-in-law now, Jordan, and we grew up together, played sports together. He's a great guy. I really like Jason. He's a good dude. I think he's doing really well for the community. He has for years, and he's going to continue to do so.
People can say, people will have criticisms about him, and I get that. The one thing that I noticed about him, man, is he's a fucking worker. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like he works, and I mean that's the biggest issue, man. A lot of times I feel like small town sheriffs, man, they get in office, they get complacent. They think they got it whipped, and I don't feel like they put their good foot forward. But I don't feel that way with him. I do feel like he's putting his good foot forward.
Right.
I'm curious about the U.S. elections. I mean, obviously you're happy with the results,
right?
Doesn't it feel like the middle class, working Americans, they spoke in that election?
For sure, absolutely, they did.
I mean, I don't know what he won by in popular vote. I know that's the first time since 2004 that a Republican won the popular vote.
From what I heard, he won popular vote and won the electoral votes. And from what I've heard, this is just obviously everything you see on Facebook's true, but it's one of the biggest comebacks in a presidential election that they've had in a long time, if not in all time. Because I think a lot of people were talking like before they go to bed, everything was kind of who's going to win the switching states or whatever they call those, the swing states. They were kind of worried about it. And I didn't even stay up to watch the results. I'm like, whatever happens is going to happen when I wake up in the morning. So I'm not going to bother with it. I'll just go to sleep, and whatever happens in the morning when I see it happens. But you see, he won the majority of those swing states.
Yeah.
And it kind of was almost a shock. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe that this actually happened the way it did. I was kind of thinking it was going to happen the opposite way. But like you said, I feel like the middle class definitely stepped up and was like, which is what you do when you vote. Your voice is heard.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't believe that. I have a lot of friends that I have are like, they don't vote. There's no reason to. And I'm like, there may not be. It may be rigged and they may want it to go whatever way they're going to, but at least you as Americans should get out and let your voice be heard, because there's so many things in life where your opinion doesn't fucking matter. People are going to do whatever, but this is the one thing that the government does where your fucking opinion matters.
Yeah. Voting is the minimum, man. Voting is the minimum. I mean, I get bucking the system every way you can. Because I do think the federal system is stacked against us, especially the working class males. I think that not the voting system. I think the system is stacked against us. I think you've seen a lot of anti-white rhetoric coming out of the left. All the transgender stuff, it's all deception. They're all means to divide households. I think voting is the minimum. And take it a step further, if you're between the ages of 18 and 40 years old, anybody for that matter, but specifically 18 and 40 years old, get involved with your local elections, man. Get interested in politics. Understand that it makes a difference. Like being in politics, even in obviously in your local government, you're not going to start way up there, but local government matters so much to the people that live inside that community. Get involved, man. Young people get involved.
You should definitely, even in jury duty. I know a lot of people say they don't like jury duty, but this is your one opportunity to do something, to be a part of something. Do your due diligence. In my opinion, a lot of people don't think the same as you and I do, but that's the reason why America is as great as it is. People are allowed to have their own opinions and do what the fuck they want. But I definitely feel like, and I told a lot of people too, I had oil and gas people knocking on the door, sending me letters in the mail. They wanted to drill. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to hold out. I could definitely use the money. Don't get me wrong. Paycheck to paycheck kind of fucking blows right now. But, the election changes so much. And honestly, I felt like depending on who got office was going to depend on what I would do with my oil and gas lease.
Yeah.
If I was going to lease my shit out or not,
Drill, baby, drill.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to be like, hey, listen, if you guys want to drill, the money's going to have to come. Because, you guys were offering pennies on the dollar before, and now that you guys are wanting this oil as bad as you do, if you want it, you can have it by all means, but I'm like, you're going to pay for it, obviously. Like, there were people settling before signing the contract And I feel like now a lot of people are fucked. They're like, man, I could have got a lot more money out of this shit. But now I'm in no hurry to sign any papers on it. And I don't have a shit ton of land. I've only got an acre and a half of everything that I sit on, but
everything
helps.
I mean, if they cut you, I mean, if you make $400, $500 a month royalty, man, that's a big deal. It's a car payment. Republican president, Republican House, Republican Senate, and the message is pretty clear: drill, baby, drill. Like, I mean, I think we're in for some prosperous times.
And I know a lot of people, like I said, were kind of upset with some of the way that the election turned out. And I've had this opinion. It's a bold opinion. A lot of people don't agree with me. I don't give a fuck necessarily, if that's the way you want to put it, with this LGBTQ community. I'm not a part of it, so I don't give a fuck. You guys do what you want. If you want to be gay, you want to be straight. If you like, how can I blame another woman for wanting to eat pussy as bad as I do?
Yeah,
be you. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. Everything else I kind of feel a little bit different about, but as long as I'm not involved in it, you do what the fuck you want. But really, you have to look at the bigger picture, and not so much as what's going to affect me, but what's going to affect us as a fucking community, as a fucking nation.
Right.
We need what's best for us, not for you, not for me, but us. And I really feel like what happened is what's best for us.
I think some of those issues, like the hot topic issues that really divide parties, I think, they're all emotional issues. They're not economic issues.
Right.
They're not immigration issues. I think when you think about immigration, you really talk about the displacement of people, of culture in any given area in the United States. But those issues seem to be emotional issues, and that's where the divide is. I think this happened. I think this occurred. I think people kind of push some of their emotions to the side, and you can't help but realize that it cost you $275 to get groceries for a week.
Right.
You can't help but notice it costs you $65 to fill your vehicle up with gas. Like, it's glaring. And I mean, if you're from middle class, I mean, you're probably really struggling.
Right.
I mean, that's
let alone being part of the low class, lower class people, trying to work and pay every dime that you earn is going out. I really feel like you said, it's going to benefit us. I really do.
Yes. Yeah, I'm hoping that I know that's not ideal with like House, Senate, President being red. I know it's not the most balance of power.
Right.
But what I'm curious to see is the people that he's surrounded with, the ideas that they put forward. And beyond that, I think it forces Democrats to reevaluate their stances on a lot of issues. Maybe not get so radical. I still don't believe a lot of the shit that comes out of their side. I think there's deep-rooted communism. I mean, Reagan, who was a celebrity, back in the day, was specifically sent to inside these circles of Hollywood people to try to persuade these people to not be communist. I still think that resides in the left right now. And I'm not trying to bash people on the left, although it probably comes off that way. I hope you reconsider your opinions. I hope that you dig deeper. But yeah, I think that I still think, even if with all this said, if they reevaluate their stance, I still think there's a lot of communist shit out the left. But I think for them to really have a chance in elections going forward, they're going to have to reevaluate some of the shit they're bringing to the table.
That's just it. You want to bring something to the table that I feel like should benefit everybody. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm fucked up about it. But I just feel like, obviously, I keep bringing it back to us. I want what's best for us. You don't want to look at it one-sided. You want to kind of see things how it is. And I just want something better for everybody in the community. And like I said, hopefully that's the way things are going to go.
Yeah. I'm enthusiastic about it, man. We'll see.
Let's go ahead and we'll tell everybody kind of where you're at, what you do, maybe some of your prices as to kind of what you charge here at the shop. That way people can kind of get an idea. So we'll go ahead and give people the background of where you're at, and then we'll talk more about how to book an appointment and how to get in here with you.
Yeah. So it's Good Ole Boys Barbershop. I'm at 309 North Street, Caldwell, Ohio. I do kids cuts for $20. I do 55 and older. That's what I call old school, for $20. The general haircut for the ages in between is $25. I do beard trims, straight razor, and I do hot towel services as well. Um, the hot towel service, that's kind of what I consider my premium service.
And I need to book one. I keep telling myself I shave my own head, but I need to come in and get a hot towel, like a shave, a full setup,
The works.
and just get it all done all at one time.
The hot towel service is $50. And I do most of my business is generated online. I mean, I still have people call me and I'll book the appointment for them. I don't mind that. It's more convenient for the person to have access to the online booking, because really what's happened before is like somebody will be texting me, hey, do you have any appointments available for next Friday? Well, I might not see it right away. And 2 hours pass and I see it. And then in between those times that I see it and from them messaging me to me seeing it, somebody's already taken the spot.
Right.
So I try to funnel all my business to the website. And I use the Square site, and it's a Good Ole Boys Barbershop.square.site. And everything else is pretty self-explanatory.
Even finds you on Facebook too. That's where I found out. You can find him on Facebook at Good Ole Boys, GOODOLE BOYS. It's on Facebook. That Facebook site will send you to your actual website, where you can get on and book your appointments. And the one thing that I like about it too is I've booked an appointment like a week or two out in advance, and it sends you text messages, emails, reminders. Hey, your appointment's coming up. Don't forget about your appointment, which is grateful, especially for everything else that's going on. If I'm one of those people, if I don't write it down on a calendar, it ain't happening. Like, I'm going to forget about it. It's easy to do. But with the reminders that you get, it's so much easier. I think booking online works for me. And like I said, I think it's beneficial.
The whole reminder thing is, it's extremely beneficial to me too. I mean, because it lessens the chance that somebody's going to forget about the appointment, And I mean, that's what makes me money. Like,
right.
When people no show me, that's huge. I mean, this is my full-time job. So I literally, I'm losing valuable money when somebody just does not show up.
Right.
So
I know you called me the last time I come in. I had an appointment booked. I try to book things on especially days that I don't work. That way I've kind of got the whole day to do whatever and keep my day open. But I know you had messaged me and said, hey, somebody no-showed me. Are you able to swing in earlier? And it was no problem for me. I don't mind at all. And I know that has to suck, like you said, especially for a business like you who depends on those appointments. That's your base of income. And when
bread and butter, baby.
When people just blow it off, I'm sure that makes it hard.
Yeah. It's not happened too much. I mean,
I don't
want it to come across like it has, but it's happened a few times. There's been a couple of times where I've had to tell people, yo, you're going to have to pay for the appointment that you missed before you book a next one.
Right.
Know? And that's just what it is, man. I mean, there's a cost of doing business, and
especially supporting a small business. You should take that definitely seriously. I mean, like you said, and like we've mentioned before, that's your income.
You'd like to think people were considerate of those things, but sometimes no. I'm in a situation where I don't want to. I don't want to say it. It can't cost me money. I have to do everything I can to not allow it to cost me money.
Right. So people find you on their site. When they book an appointment, obviously they choose what cut they want or whatever services they need. They're able to pick a date and time, whatever you have available, and then obviously they get their reminders. What can they expect when they walk in the door to your place? What do you? I mean, I know we kind of hit it on a little bit before, but when you walk in the door, what should your customers expect when they sit down in your chair?
Professionalism, good atmosphere, masculine. It's Good Ole Boys Barbershop, so it is in fact a spot for the good old boys.
Right. I was going to ask you how you got your name, but I knew it was going to come up eventually about how you come up with the Good Ole Boys Barbershop. It fits your atmosphere. It really does.
It's kind of a name that I've had in my back pocket for a long time. I mean, I think I had the name probably 7 years ago. I had the name. I was fucking around with making my own beard care products, and I had labels made, and I called it Good Ole Boys Beard Balm. Pretty simple. I don't really know how I came up with the name. I mean, I know, when I think of Good Ole Boys, you hear it referenced in songs, and um, I mean, it's been referenced in songs since probably the '60s, and I don't know, man. I just think of a strong-willed man, um, a man that looks out for his family. Yeah,
That's awesome. And it's crazy how your design went too. Like it doesn't look anything like your design now, which isn't a bad thing. But I look at it and I'm like, that's crazy that you've had this in your mind
yeah,
the entire time, well, almost the entire time that you worked at the place you did before.
yeah, yeah.
Like
yeah.
you've had an outlet before,
Yeah,
but just never connected things together. And finally it came in for you and it worked out. And just, it's crazy to think about.
it's kind of funny how it works, man. Honestly, I mean, yeah. I mean, I've always kind of been into. I've always wanted to look nice and presentable, and just I always like cologne, just taking care of myself. I mean, that's just
right.
so it kind of is a natural, I guess, a natural outlet to this industry here.
Sure. I don't know what it is. It's like I've told people before, I enjoy having a clean shaved head. I enjoy having a clean trimmed beard. Just something about it does something for you that it's almost one of those things where if you look good, you're going to play good. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it does something for your emotional. There's a word I want to use. I can't think of it, but
It is. I mean, you get out of the barber chair and you get home and you look yourself in the mirror and you're like, fuck yeah,
right.
I'd fuck me. Yeah, I mean, it really does. It feels that way, man. It's cool. It's a cool thing to provide for people. Like sitting where I'm sitting, it's a really cool thing to provide for people. Like
right.
to give dudes confidence. That's a great thing.
One thing I always liked, I went to college and did construction management. And one thing that I loved about construction was you could start from nothing. And at the end of the day, you could see progress. It may not have been a lot, but you could see progress. Working in public safety, I've found the hardest thing for me is there's no progress.
Yeah.
You go in and you maintain for your 8 to 16-hour shift, and then you leave. You go in again, you maintain. But I've always liked the product where you can see from start to finish where you were before and where you are now. And I'm sure you can see that as a barber and doing things now. Like, what does that mean to you? Like, do you see that? Do you notice it?
Well, it's funny that you mention it because like that's how I've had those same feelings when I was at my previous job as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Feeling the same way. Like there's just something that like there's an aspect of satisfaction that's missing. But this like doing this now, it's like I'm not real good at like do-it-yourself projects. Like,
right.
I've been working on my fence at my fucking house for like 3 years now. My old lady always bitches at me like, when are you gonna fix the fucking fence? And it's like I just lost the motivation. It's like I'm so fucking ADHD that the turnaround on something has to be quick.
Right.
And that's exactly like I don't even know what could be more satisfying for me doing what I do than this right here. Like
right.
It's such a quick turnaround. And it's like a spurt. It's like a 40-minute spurt of me being able to really focus my attention on something, and then boom, it's done. I get to see it.
Right.
So and I think that's why it works for me, honestly. I mean, it keeps me engaged.
Right. So, is there anything else? I think we covered all of our bases. I think everything worked out really good. Anything you want to bring to the table? Any questions you have?
I guess probably one question I'd like to ask you is like, what's your expectations with doing this podcast and stuff, man? I think it's a fucking awesome idea.
It's funny that you asked that. There was a buddy of mine I met from Canada. I don't know if you've listened to much of the podcast beforehand, but I met a guy from Canada at Cleveland. There's a big police officer memorial. We go up there, and this is my first year going up just this past year. And him and I have stayed in touch ever since this memorial. We'll see each other again at the next memorial. We're looking forward to it, and we talk all about it. But he's like, I wish somebody would sit down and interview you, pick your brain a little bit. Like you always pick everybody else's and get their opinions, but like everybody'd like to see the tables turn and kind of see where this all came from. So the answer to that is the podcast for me was back when I was driving the trash truck, and I was like, man, I'm so tired of listening to the same radio stations every day. I'm so tired of hearing the same songs play every day. Like I like good music and I enjoy good music, but you just kind of get in that rut where it's the same thing every day. And I wanted something that kind of It was just different, something that people could tune into and listen to and enjoy. And I talked about this before. When I was in college, I was like, man, it would be awesome to be a stand-up comedian.
Oh yeah.
Like, I enjoy making people laugh. I enjoy telling stories and that aspect of a conversation. But I never thought it would work. Like, how the fuck am I going to do it from a small town in Ohio? You know what I mean? I got to move to somewhere like New York or California to make stand-up comedy work.
Well, you got to have the ability to get up on stage and making a complete fucking ass of yourself and completely bomb.
Right. And be okay with it. And then move on and do it again and hope that it doesn't bomb the second time.
Oh yeah.
But I just thought, if I make this podcast and somebody tunes into it and gets a laugh for 10 seconds and makes them, it's almost like you said, you get in kind of this rut, and you're like, with your fence job, you get in this rut and you're just kind of doing something and it's just not fulfilling your need of what you're feeling or whatever. But I thought, if I could give somebody a laugh and somebody hears something and like, that's kind of funny, or somebody listen to a topic that I talk about and maybe form their own opinion about it, just to give somebody an outlet to listen to, laugh about, and take you out of your everyday grind, just to kind of give you something to look forward to, something to laugh about. That was kind of my whole goal of this podcast.
How many sit down interview podcasts have you done? I mean, this
season 2 was a big change. I know you and I kind of talked about the first season that I did is kind of chopped to people that are going to go back and listen to it and are going to listen to season 1. It's really chopped up because I ran into some things with work that I didn't even say, but people thought that I said. You know how that shit comes about. People interpret what you say different ways. But season 2 has been, for the most part, sit down interviews with different people. So I'd say at the Rendezvous, I think I had maybe 8 or 9 people that I interviewed from different states, different chapters. And then I'd probably say maybe a dozen and a half, maybe people that I've sat down and interviewed. People from work, people from the public safety side, people from motorcycle clubs, just kind of bouncing ideas off of people and just trying to get, I don't know, people's opinion on how today runs and kind of their opinion on, like, just kind of the same questions I ask everybody, what their pet peeves are, their views in life, and kind of what they'd give advice to, because everybody has a different aspect on that.
Sure. Do you prefer this format?
Absolutely. When I do a podcast by myself, I can feel something different, because I feel like when I try to do one by myself, I have to have some kind of goal in mind. Like when I try to do a podcast by myself, September was National Suicide Prevention, and that really hits home for me. I know people that have committed suicide, and it's something that I feel really strong about. Me and my girlfriend even talked about it. She's a therapist, and she talks with different people, and I have a very strong stance on suicide prevention. I just have my own beliefs about it. I don't share them on the podcast just because I feel like people, if you know somebody who's committed suicide, you're going to think my opinion is just not the greatest.
Well, if you're feeling suicidal, reach out and fucking talk to somebody, because somebody gives a fuck.
That's where my stance is.
And you matter,
You matter, even if it's just to one person, you matter to that person. If you have kids, your sole purpose should be doing whatever the fuck you do for those kids. And like I said, I don't want to deep dive super far into it just because I know it affects certain people different ways, but you matter. I've always given my plug out. If you ever need to talk to anybody, you can find me on Facebook as Let's Get Wobbled. I've given out my personal name. It's Clayton Wobble Elliott on Facebook. You can reach out to me. There's ways that you can reach out on the podcast with the comments. I can put you in touch with somebody, or even myself, that will give you an outlet to talk to, because it's like you said, you matter to somebody. If you feel hopeless or anything, talk to somebody. Air that shit out. It may be the hardest thing you've ever done to talk about. I've had some really traumatic experiences with the fire department, and the best thing that I did was talk to a therapist and seek help and get that shit off your chest.
Yeah, you guys say some fucked up shit, man.
It was tough, and that's one of the big reasons that I gave up the fire department, just because, like, there was one call that was super difficult on me. It weighed on me. It kind of affected how I did things on the fire department. And then when I moved out of the jurisdiction that I used to be in with Bell Valley. So I kind of was outside of their area too, but a bunch of different things played into the reason why I stepped back from the fire department. But like I said, talking about your issues is not a non-manly thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to better yourself. You want to help yourself. It's the way to do it.
Fuck yeah.
But
come to the barbershop.
I mean, that's just it.
Come get a fucking haircut, dude. Let's talk about some shit that matters.
I'm sure you've had people in that chair behind you that just fucking open the door to shit that You probably never thought. You just think that some guy's coming in to get a beard cut, and it turns into something completely different.
I mean, honestly, that's probably one of the most special things about what I do, man, is all the different interactions that I get with people. And you know, it's sometimes it's things that are so meaningless, and sometimes they're things that are meaningful. Sometimes it's about bullshit. Sometimes it's about football. Sometimes it's about business. You know, I have such a wide range of different people that come in here, man, and I love talking to all of them. I mean, it really is like that's the fucking joy of it, man. It's just the different conversations, talking to people and learning, man.
Right.
Just learning. Like I love to learn. It's a very yeah, it's rewarding.
That's
just
awesome
to hear the stories. That's rewarding.
Right. If anything else gives you a purpose to keep your doors open, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
fuck yeah, dude. I think that and I ain't trying to shit on anybody else, but I think I got the greatest fucking job in the world, dude.
Right.
I mean, I love it. It's cool.
It's just cool that you're able to do something that I'm sure you don't consider this work. This isn't a job. You know, this is your hobby. This is what you love to do. And I know a lot of people will say when they open a business is what they want is something like that. They want something that makes it feel like you're not clocking in every day.
Yes.
You're just going in and doing your everyday thing.
Well, think about how long we look for that or how long we yearn for that. You know what I mean? And some people search their whole lives looking for it. Some people, it doesn't really bother them, you know. They can do whatever. That's, you know, work doesn't affect them. It's just work. They separate it. They can turn it off when they leave, and then they have their home life. Like, I really wasn't one of the people, though, you know. I felt like I carried work with me everywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. What do you feel about that? Is it hard for you to turn it off? I mean,
it is back when I did before. So back when I did what you did, that was very difficult. I couldn't turn it off. There's just something about me that was hard to turn it off of what I did. Moving into maintenance where I'm at now, that shit is just completely different, man.
Motherfucking weekends off. It's 410s?
Yes. I have Friday, Saturday, Sundays off. And everybody fucking dogs on me, of course, like they do. Like, man, you ran away from the shit. Now you're just sitting in your office with your feet kicked up. But I'm like, that's just it. Like, I don't mind going into work now. I don't burn my time. I haven't taken a single sick day or any vacation time since I started because I don't fucking mind going. I bullshit with the dudes in the shop. I fix shit when shit's broke, and that's just it. Like, it's just an atmosphere where I feel like everybody should want to strive for that. Find something that you want to do where it doesn't feel like work. You know, you're just going in and doing what you're supposed to do, and that's just, I don't know.
I feel like everybody is like, not everybody, but I feel like it's so easy for people to be critical. And like, I remember like when I was getting ready to start into this, I don't know how many people that I used to work with that was like, don't do it. Don't do it, man. You're going to regret it. And I just thought, man, that is such terrible messaging to tell to anybody.
Right.
Like, don't discourage ever. Like, as a man, don't discourage people from wanting to pursue whatever it is that they want to pursue. Let them fucking go. I mean, you know, I don't know. I felt like it was a weird dynamic. It was a weird thing for people to constantly hear.
And I'm sure one of the things I was going to ask too, and I completely forgot, and it's funny that you brought it back. How did you handle that adversity? Like, everybody's in your ear telling you, you're going to regret this. This is a stupid idea. How did you handle that adversity and flip it on them? And did you say, listen, I'll fucking prove you wrong. Watch me.
I think that I was so displeased with the current state, like how I was, like in the position I was in. I was just fucking over it, dude, that it didn't matter. I could have bombed. Honestly, I mean, I could have bombed. What I do know is I didn't like dip my feet into the water, dude. Like, I stood at the edge of that fucking plank and I dove in. You know what I mean? Like, I just went. I had to make it work.
Right.
I had to.
One of those sink or swim moments.
But. Yeah, exactly. Well, dude, I just fucking, right before I quit, we had our daughter and we had bought a house.
No shit.
And then I'm going to quit my job making $30 an hour to pay money to go to school. And it's school was a full-time thing. I was 5 days a week, Tuesday through Saturday. Like, there is no margin for error here. Like,
right.
You have to make it happen. And I think sometimes, like, I'm a fucking procrastinator, dude. Like, I almost have to have that sense of like, all right, man.
That's how I was in college. Like, if I started a project too early, I'd get bored with it. And almost everything that I did was last minute because I felt like the pressure's on now. You don't have a fucking choice.
Right.
You got to fucking do it. But that's how I was when I got through. And I think a lot of people can manage that. Like, if you're a procrastinator and you've always been and it works for you, what's the point in changing it?
It's so fucking stressful, though, dude.
It is.
You're putting so
there's
much
no
stress
need
on yourself.
There's no need to put yourself through the stress. But at the same time, I felt like that's where I did my best work was in the last couple minutes of when it was due.
Fuck, crunch time, baby.
Exactly. You don't have a choice. You have to fucking do this.
I dig it. I mean, as a man, you know, you want to have that aspect of, it's just like your kids, man. You want them to face adversity, controlled adversity. But like, even through myself, like, I need that, man. I need that. I need my back against the wall. I need it to be sink or swim. I need it to be pushing all these fucking chips into the center, you know? And I hope I can keep that mentality. I hope that I don't do this right here and just settle. Like, I want to be a businessman.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want to achieve things. Like, I hope that I don't just get complacent and just cozy into just, you know, standing behind this chair for the next, well, all these other barbers, I guess, 60 years, 70 years.
Right.
Know? I hope I can accomplish some other things.
Well, buddy, I appreciate you sitting down with me.
Yeah,
I had a great time. I feel like we covered a lot of good topics. I felt like everything that we talked about was very beneficial. I'm glad to see you're still in business. I'm glad to see your business doing great. So thanks again, guys, for listening. If you want to get a hold of me, it's the Let's Get Wobbled podcast. You can find me on Facebook. Come down and get yourself an appointment booked at Good Ole Boys Barbershop. I'm telling you, you're not going to regret it. It's a great place, great atmosphere. You're going to get a great cut, and you're going to leave here feeling like something. If you felt like shit before, come in here, see my dude Griff. He's going to fix you up, I promise. So until next time, guys.
Let's get wobbled.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks again, guys.